All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, great to be back.
We had a really interesting week in the markets this week. I was doing a lot of reading and,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
yeah, just a lot happening globally.
Yeah.
I mean, we always have to start these by thinking about, like, what is going on, around the world.
Absolutely.
Because, of course, that impacts what's happening in Egypt.
It does. Yeah.
So much is connected. And, yeah, we had, the U.S. Federal Reserve kind of hinting that there may not be as many rate cuts in 2025 as maybe people had hoped.
Right.
Which always kind of makes people a little uneasy.
Yeah, it makes markets a little bit jittery.
A little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And then over in Europe, we have the European Central Bank cutting rates to 3%.
Yeah.
And projecting that economic growth in 2024 is going to be pretty weak.
Not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, not looking so good.
So I feel like that kind of sets the stage for what we're talking about today.
Definitely, that's the backdrop.
Yeah, so let's zero in on Egypt now.
Okay, let's do it.
And I think one of the most interesting things that we've been tracking is this whole situation with the inflation rate.
Yeah.
Which has been slowing down.
Right.
It eased a bit in November. It was at 25.5%, down from 26.5 in October.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Egyptian pound has hit the 50 EGP to the USD mark.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, what does that actually mean for, like, just the average person?
Well, if you're thinking about, like, traveling, going abroad, that weaker pound means that your trip is going to be a lot more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And then also imported goods are going to be more expensive.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, okay, inflation's slowing down. That's great.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, a weaker pound could lead to price increases.
Right.
In other areas.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one.
So there's also been some talk about the government potentially replacing the capital gains tax with a stamp duty tax.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about your take on this. Do you think this is going to be like a good thing for the market or like, I don't know. I feel like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's kind of a gamble, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, the goal is to kind of simplify things and get more people investing in the stock market.
Right.
But, like, will it be enough to offset, the potential loss in government revenue from capital gains tax?
Yeah.
And, what about, like, loopholes that could be created?
Yeah, we're just going to create a new problem.
Right, exactly. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely something to watch for sure.
Yeah.
So we had some interesting corporate highlights this week, too.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Standard Chartered got a custodian license in Egypt.
Right.
Abakir Fertilizers is modernizing their facility.
Yep.
And then Orascom Developments clarified some stuff about the Sawiris family buyouts. I mean, I think for me the Standard Chartered news was kind of the big one.
Yeah, that was huge.
Like, it seems like Egypt is really trying to attract foreign investors.
I think so, for sure. I mean, like, custodian licenses, those are like a requirement for foreign investors to participate in a market.
Right.
So, yeah, it really is like rolling out the red carpet and, welcoming them in.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to see.
It's very interesting. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So on to the stock market itself.
Okay.
The EGX30 dipped 0.8% this week, closing at 30,526 points.
Right.
Meanwhile, the EGX70, which tracks smaller companies, had a steeper drop.
Yeah.
Dropping 1.9%, closing at 8,410 points.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the question is, like, are we starting to head towards a downturn, or what do you think is going on?
Well, I think, given like the global uncertainty that we've been talking about,
Right,
and the fluctuation with the exchange, like, these drops kind of make sense,
Yeah.
And remember, things aren't happening in isolation.
Right.
They're connected. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the market responds to the government's reforms and, like, if those international investors actually take advantage of things like that custodian license.
Okay, so let's talk about gold.
Yes! Let's talk about gold.
It's been quite a week.
Oh, yeah.
For gold, globally, prices soared past $2,726 per ounce.
Wow.
And, of course, that has had a knock-on effect locally.
Right.
A gram of 24-karat gold is going for 4,439 Egyptian pounds.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's been very interesting to see that. And I guess the question is, like, what is it about gold that just makes it so attractive?
Well, it's that safe haven appeal, right? When the economy's unpredictable, people get nervous.
People want something stable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They worry about inflation eating away at their savings and their currency losing value. So gold is seen as like this stable asset that's going to hold its value over time.
So if you're like an investor right now,
Yeah.
what do you do?
I mean,
Do you buy gold? Do you sell it? Do you just kind of hold tight?
yeah.
What's your advice?
Yeah, I think it's always important to remember diversification,
Right.
right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Gold can be a good part of a balanced portfolio,
Sure.
but it shouldn't be the only thing you're relying on.
Right.
So if you're holding gold long term, this is good news.
Yes.
But if you're thinking about buying now,
Yeah.
maybe wait and see if things stabilize a little bit.
Right.
Let the economic picture become a little clearer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we covered a lot of ground today,
We did.
from the global market
Yeah,
to the ups and downs of the Egyptian stock market
And gold?
and gold.
Of course.
I mean, what are your big takeaways? What are you thinking about?
I think it's just really interesting to see, how interconnected everything is.
Yes.
Yeah, and how these global events are really impacting things in Egypt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's just, something to keep in mind as you make your own investment decisions.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So keep those questions in mind as you navigate the market
Yeah.
and, yeah, make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week with another deep dive.
See you then.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Bye.